stanza by stanza and kind of break it down and annotate. But before we get into that, we just want to talk about what the outcomes are that are connected to this.
So yesterday we worked on practicing extract, which is pulling information out of the text, right? We watched the movie. Today we're going to work on two other outcomes, textual analysis and position. So does anyone know who Maya Angelou is?
Poet. Yeah, she's a poet.
Good, she's a poet, right? So she's an African-American poet. She's about 80 years old. She's an honorary professor now also.
If someone
If someone
shows you who they are, believe them.
Is that her?
that is.
That's what she told us.
Apparently she
Apparently
was
she's
in that. I never.
We learned that earlier today
Yeah.
too from another student.
Okay.
So, all right, so we're going to be reading over the poem by Maya Angelou called Still I Rise. But before we do that, the outcome is textual analysis. What is textual analysis in E5?
What does it mean to you? Like you've heard it before.
Essay gives information from the text and begins to interpret. Come on, Tim.
Well,
Sorry, you're right. You were reading.
begin to interpret.
The author's meaning and purpose.
Right. So that's for meats, right? Do we know what that means? What this definition is actually saying?
This
What does it
means-
mean to analyze?
This means that we need to get details and certain information.
Right? Once you get the details, then what?
We can interpret in our own words and understand what the author is talking about.
Right.
Good.
So in your
And
own
when
words, I like that.
When we do that explicitly, what does that mean? You ever heard that word before?
Yeah,
What does it mean?
first words.
Okay, so one meaning of it is like on songs they say there's explicit lyrics, and that means curse words. This is a different example or a different use of the word, and it's sort of the opposite of inferred. Do we know what inferred means?
Infer?
Yeah, so you guys have been asked to do that before.
We've done inferences. I know in E1, E2 we did them. Probably in E3 and E4 also. Yes, Mike?
Mike.
So I say it's
Alright, wait.
so.
Mike looked like he was going to say something. No?
Infer?
Yeah. No?
It's like a guess?
Okay,
It cuts off inference?
it's an inference, right? So if I say it's so hot outside I had to use the air conditioner,
It is outside.
what season is it?
Summer.
Summer, right? I didn't say it was summer, but you guys inferred that it was summer based on the information that was given. I mean, so inferring is that the information is not specifically said.
Right.
So what would explicit be then?
So if inferred
It's the
is,
opposite.
it is the opposite, and so what would that mean? What would be a definition for explicit?
That means it's.
Mm-hmm.
If inferred is the opposite, that means. How you say it? Explicit?
Explicit?
Explicit.
Explicit? That means you're getting
Go ahead.
the right information.
Good.
And that's all I can do.
That's great. So direct information, right? The information is right there in the text or in the story. Like in the story, the movie yesterday, Sean said, "I hate school." Right? That is explicit information. We didn't have to guess. We didn't have to infer. Sean.
That was his middle name, Troy Shaw.
Troy, my bad. Troy Sean Welcome. Sorry. Right?
Troy-
Troy Sean Welcome. We did not have to infer that he didn't like school. He said, "I hate school." That was explicit in the story, right?
Yes.
If I say it's summer, that's explicit. You don't have to guess or infer.
But in the beginning of the film, right, Troy didn't tell us what he was struggling with. We could infer it, right, based on what was going on, what we saw happening, what he was thinking about, right? We knew he was struggling to focus, but he didn't tell us, "I hate this school because I can't focus." He just said, "I hate this school," which was explicit. We knew he hated the school.
Oh, showing
But
emotion.
We inferred that he couldn't focus because we saw what was happening, what he was doing, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
So he was showing emotion, and we inferred based on his emotion how he felt about certain things.
That's what it means.
So that's the difference. For you to get a meets or exceeds, the meets is, it says it in the text, so you just pull it out from the text and you say, "See, this is what the author said." To get exceeds, sometimes the authors don't say things straight out, right? And especially in poetry, this is true. But you can figure it out, and so that's you inferring. So if you're able to give us not only what the author says, but also what the author is hinting at, you're now exceeding in textual analysis. And the reason we like to focus a lot on exceeds is because it prepares you for the next English class. So right now, E5, textual analysis, exceeds is that. When you go to E6, that's going to be meets.
So for E6, you will need to be able to make inferences and then say what that means for the story, right? So we're going to be practicing that to help you get there for E6.
Okay.
The other outcome that we're going to work on today is called position. What does it mean to take position?
Alright, when you take,
Ricardo, what do
when
you
you
think?
take authority over something.
All right, that's a good start. Ricardo, what does it mean to take a position on something?
So take a look at the definition of the meets.
Right. On the board, the definition will help you with that.
Take side.
Good, Michael. So taking a side on something, right? So you're giving your opinion. Should students be given Metro cards?
Yeah.
Yes. So Michael gave his opinion. What if you,
Well, I don't think so. I think
Did
they
you-
should walk.
have you given any evidence?
Huh?
Have you given any evidence? You said, yeah, you've taken a position. Have you backed up your position in any way?
I have not.
You have not yet, right? So you have not met the outcome yet. You need to be able to take a position.
No. You would have had an A. You would have had an A, said I would have had an N. No, you
You
would have
have
had an A.
A, right?
One letter? Not one letter, one word?
Well, you took a position, right? You would write it in a sentence. Yes, I think students should have a Metro card. That's picking a side, but you didn't do all of it,
Okay.
right? So what would you need to do to get that A to turn into an M to meet the outcome? So you said, yes, students should be given Metro cards. What would you need to do in order to get an M?
Stand by your opinion.
In what way? How would you stand by your opinion?
Don't support what.
Exactly. You have to give support, right? And where do we usually get that support from?
Story.
The story.
So the
Or
text,
whatever you
whatever
read.
we're reading or watching, you get the information to support the opinion from that text.
We're talking about the outcomes.
Has anyone here heard the word counterclaim before? Counterclaim?
Yeah.
What is that?
Any idea? You
What
said-
about a counterattack?
Turn around and attack?
Okay.
Okay.
So if I'm going to give my opinion,
No.
If I'm doing a counterattack, why would I do counterattack?
Strike back.
Strike back. So that means what was happening to me?
We was getting pummeled.
Okay, so I was being pummeled, I was getting struck, right? And I turned around and I struck back, I counterattacked. So it's almost the same thing as counterclaim.
so if someone gives one opinion, the counterclaim would be, if you're counterattacking, you turn back against it, right? So if you have one claim, students should be given Metro cards. What's the counterclaim to that, the counterattack?
So Mike is attacking me with students should be given Metro cards. Here's why. Here's my support. Because of this, and this, right? So he's giving me all this information. He's basically attacking me with it. And I want to counterclaim. So what do I do? If I feel like he's attacking me with this information and I want to get back at him, what would I say?
Okay, something
Such
different.
as what?
What do you mean by that?
Ice cream tastes good. Is that going to work?
No.
No. Is that connected to the argument?
It does
So
taste
what
good.
would I
It's
say?
not connected to the argument, right?
You can say what he said, but in your perspective.
Meaning what he thinks students should get Metro cards, right? He's trying to convince me, but I don't want to be convinced. So what would I say? My proof of what?
Evidence? Yeah.
My evidence of what though? What am I trying to prove? Am I trying to prove him right?
So what do you think of that?
Really? That's what he's saying. That's not what I'm saying.
If a counterattack is like to go against someone, to be opposite of them,
Didn't I just say students should walk? Was I the only one who remembered saying that?
then so that is a counterclaim. Eminem says students should walk. Michael's claim is students should be given Metro cards. A counterclaim is no, they shouldn't. They should walk.
Exactly.
So in order to get exceeds on this outcome, in E5, you have to be able to present a counterclaim. All right. So the claim could be strawberry ice cream is the best. Counterclaim is
Chocolate ice cream.
thank you.
Right. It could be either a completely different ice cream is the best, or it could be
All
strawberry ice cream is not the best. Just simply disagreeing is a counterclaim.
All right, so we're going to read through the poem together, and there's an outcome where you're going to write a well-developed paragraph.
So we're going to work through this poem with the idea in mind that we might not finish, because we weren't able to finish in the other classes, and that's fine. But if we do finish, we can then start the outcome, but we really want you to understand the poem because you can't really write about it unless you know what it's talking about, okay? So we are going to take turns reading. And Tim is handing out the outcome to you guys now, and we just want to make sure you actually understand what the question is asking, so that way you can actually pick a proper side.
So for this outcome, you're going to take a position based on the question here. So the question on the outcome sheet
Do you
is,
believe individuals can use height, persistence and motivation things to overcome obstacles?
good. So do you believe individuals can use persistence and motivation to overcome obstacles? What is persistence?
So we got a couple of our vocab words in here.
What do you think, Justin?
It's connected.
Someone is persistent. What
to
does that
one of
mean?
our vocab words.
Motivate.
Wait, let's just.
I heard it before.
You heard it before.
What does it mean to be persistent?
Does it look like any of our vocabulary words that you should have in your notes somewhere?
Does it say meaning and precise?
No.
No, think of one of the vocab words we have.
Similar to perseverance, right? So what does it mean to persevere? Justin, what do you think? Who can help Justin out? What does it mean to persevere?
Not give up.
Right.
Not give up, right?
Well,
So
there you
being
go.
persistent means you keep going.
Persistent.
Students wanted to sleep, but the teachers were persistent
Here.
that they not be allowed to sleep.
Your outcome sheet, that's the word we're talking about. We're not talking to each other. So, this word.
And what about motivation?
Persistence is connected to
All of you
persistence.
should, in your notes, you should have the word motivation.
That means that you're motivated to do something.
Okay, so
Meaning
it's
what?
like,
Meaning that
Make you keep going on something that you're doing.
Yeah.
what makes you keep going?
That's the motivation.
Okay, so-
Right, so what is motivation?
It could be anything.
It could be anything, but what is the
Well, what
word
does it
for
mean?
something that makes you keep going?
To keep going,
Like an award or something.
saying that
So wait,
you're
hold
like,
on, hold on.
like
Mine,
like
what's
your passion.
motivation?
Something that inspires you to keep moving.
Something that inspires you to keep moving. So,
a
what
goal.
is it connected to?
So it could be anything.
Persistent.
It's connected to your goal, like Tim said, right? The thing that you want, like Mary, she had certain motivations in the beginning and in the end of the story, right? Certain things that she wanted.
Alright. So the goal that she had in the beginning, what was her goal? In the story Lands of the Slaughter. Stacey.
Yeah.
What did Mary want to do? What was she trying to accomplish at the beginning of the story? You guys can all look at your notes, we all have it written down.
Yeah, we had a little chart we made. It's really, we're not asking you to actually recall from memory, we're just asking you to be able to look back at what you wrote. You should always have your notes with you.
I see Kyle.
If you don't have your notes, then
Don't
maybe
see
you
anyone
can
else
try to
reading.
remember. What was it that Mary wanted, or what was her motivation in the beginning? To what? In the beginning of the story, Mary wanted what?
To serve.
She had a family.
To serve a family.
Okay, to serve her family.
Take care of her family, right?
Yeah.
And the evidence was that when her husband came home, she served him the drink, she took his coat. So her motivation in life was to keep her family together, to keep her husband happy.
We know that later it changed,
She talked about it, changed.
right, after the whole, killing him with the leg of lamb. But the point is, she had a certain goal, right? And there were certain things that she did so that she could get to that goal. So the question is asking you what? This question here, because that's what you're going to write your paragraph
Do you
about.
believe individuals can
Use persistence.
Yeah, do you believe individuals can use persistence and motivation to overcome obstacles?
So can somebody say that in their own words? What is it that you're going to write about?
We're gonna write about something. We're gonna write about if somebody can use persistence and motivations to overcome.
Okay, in your own words. Ricardo, what are we gonna be writing about?
Alright.
I can't hear you. I need you to sit up so I can hear you.
Oh, this might be.
Ricardo, sit up.
Come on,
Ricardo, seriously. Come on. What is the question? One more time, in your own words.